So here we are once again for session 2 with Rocky Tubbs, Q&A fan-based session. Rocky, of course, former roadie of Brotherhood of Man, body double for Renee and Renata, and of course founding member of Growler, which, whilst going through numerous changes in line-up, ultimately resulted in Rocky being fired from his own band.
No, they left.
They left? Well, the press didn't seem to agree with that.
What press?
Well, Modern Drummer, Smash Hits, Jackie, Looking.
Oh. If it's in Looking, it must be bloody true then.
Well, it was okay in the 70s. So, perhaps though the career is now looking up, is it true? Filling in for Slipknot, headline act, Friday night, Download Festival, Castle Donington. Apparently their drummer is banged up.
No. I mean, no, it is true. Yes, it's true. We're going to be headlining. No, it's not true. It's their drummer. The AC/DC drummer is the one that's getting banged up, allegedly, for being a murdering, drug-taking...
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But yeah, we are in negotiations with the main guy who runs Download, Michael, Alan, Brett, Jeremy. I'm not really sure what his name is. I should find that out. But yeah, we're going to be taking over from Slipknot just because their guitar player is going to be banged up as well for stabbing someone. Although you'd have thought they wear masks, they could have just put a mask on, and then frankly it could have been anyone behind that. Surely you would have thought about that. He could have just denied it all.
Indeed. So that suggests then that the rumours about a European tour might be true.
Oh, absolutely. The European tour, stick it where it doesn't belong. We'll be sticking it where it doesn't belong all across Europe, but primarily South East England to start with. So, you know, places like Watford, St Albans, the Queen's Backyard, High Wycombe. And all I'm hoping is that it's a hell of a lot better than the Cuban Hellhole tour of '85.
Indeed. So, a land of opportunity at the moment. What are your thoughts about Zayn leaving One Direction?
I don't really know that I've got much thoughts about it. I mean, he probably left because he had to go and do his homework, didn't he? But no, in all seriousness, he was probably just tired of Simon Cowell pounding his flesh. Sorry, taking his pound of flesh.
I know, a very touching story. I know a lot of people were touched worldwide of it. I myself cried literally buckets. I haven't laughed that much in ages.
Yeah, it's just a shame the others are carrying on.
Or perhaps an extended hiatus might be nice for everyone else at this stage.
Yeah, agreed.
So, the early years, the 70s, Rocky. Was it really okay?
Absolutely. Everything was okay in the 70s. We were all hanging out, having a great time. On my days off with Brotherhood of Man, we'd do plenty of parties. And a lot of my friends at the time, you know, people like Cannon and Ball, Noel Edmonds, Cilla Black, Tony Blackburn, Claire Balding, and of course Morecambe and Wise. None of us have ever been implicated in Operation Yewtree.
Well, Morecambe and Wise are dead.
What?
Oh, sorry, I thought you knew.
They're on telly all the time.
Well, that could be more to do with scheduling than anything else. Moving on then, which brings us neatly on to Claire Baldwin, and of course, rumours of...
Claire Baldwin?
Balding.
Claire Baldwin. She's got a wing that's bald. Claire Balding, I think you'll find.
It's a silent W then.
Yeah, the W is silent if you include silent as being non-existent.
Oh, okay. Well,
Claire Balding. What's your name?
Fernando.
Fernando.
And
is that Fernando with a silent F?
I think the F probably is pronounced.
Oh.
But let's get back to the questions about your loss of virginity.
Yes. Well, I don't really want to kiss and tell, but as this is probably going to be viewed by, what, about 7 people, a cat and a tortoise called Brian, then I probably don't mind. But it is wrong to name people. But yeah, Claire Balding and I, Claire Balding and I go back a very long way. We've had some great times together, and without a doubt, she was definitely my first. I'm just a little confused that I spent that blissful 2.5 minutes thinking I was having sex with Gordon Ramsay.
Which actually does bring us on to the question of, have you ever been tempted to bat the other side?
Well, not tempted per se. Have I been accidentally caught out? Perhaps. You know, we were touring, I can't remember where, and I wrote the song Bangkok Woman primarily on an experience that happened there. So we were somewhere, I don't know, Singapore maybe, somewhere like that. But it speaks for itself. You're my Bangkok woman, bits to suck and lick. I see you naked one more time, I think I'm going to be sick. It was an eye-watering experience.
Indeed. So now on to some of our other fan-based questions. TV shows. And what was the greatest TV shows that inspired you?
There's the top 3 of all time. It's a Knockout, Je Sans Frontières, Jim Will Fix It, and of course The Cosby Show, with the ever-gorgeous Lisa Bonet, who was almost as hot as Claire Balding.
Indeed.
Fernando.
Thanks. This coming from someone who looks like a fat slash. Or actually, indeed, as I was talking about it, an elderly Greg Bissonette if he was dark and a good 20 pounds heavier.
I don't know that Greg Bissonette wears his hair in a curly lock. He was the guy of the 80s that you looked up to if you could wear long hair and yet spike it up. I wear mine down.
Your hair knowledge is without compare.
Of course, I'm a hair metal god. What do you expect?
Absolutely. So, fan-based questions, lyrics. Is it true you write your own?
Of course, I write my own. I just explained about Bangkok Woman, a painfully detailed experience, but I just don't appreciate the tone of your question. It comes from a sort of a stereotypical view of what you think a rock star is, or worse over, a drummer. Oh, there's a drummer that writes lyrics. We're not all like Tommy Lee, you know. He can't remember anything from about 1980 onwards, and that stint in jail, he's got a lot more twitchy after that, hasn't he?
So very true. So, how do you change the air filter on a 1986 Ford Cortina?
Well, that's a pretty good segue, talking about Tommy Lee and into an air filter of a Ford Cortina.
These are just fan-based questions, I don't write them.
Well, the person who sent that in is clearly sending in a red herring, because they should well know that the Ford Cortina was not being made in 1986. It was the Ford Sierra. So, firstly, for trying to catch me out, I'm older than I look, I remember. And secondly, there's only one car in production at the time worth talking about, and it was a car that had a bonnet as long as my cock.
The Mini.
Not a fucking Mini, the Ford Capri, a 2.8 injection.
Nicely done. Our final question then for tonight, Rocky. What is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?
Well, again, this video is going to be viewed by like no one, so it's no problem telling you. The reason I'm wearing my sunglasses today is my most embarrassing experience has happened overnight. I was going to tell you I was going through my Davy Roth phase, but unfortunately I was researching some of the lyrics to Porn Star. I take my work very seriously. I call it researching and my doctor calls it relapsing, but I was relapsing quite vigorously last night, and the glare from the laptop sort of strained my eyes a little bit, so they got really bloodshot. But worse than that is that I've now got a cock that looks like John Merrick.
Rocky, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.